There we go. Okay. Took a little effort, but I'm betting you can hear me now. Just waiting on the chat to catch up here. Excellent. Good. I like to have a little technical difficulty at the beginning. It kind of breaks the ice. Welcome back. We are diving into. I'm going to say episode 7. Yeah, let's say that for now. I'm going to stop trying to remember them and actually write them down next time. Of the episode 7 of the Knight Rider, we're here to design a tabletop role-playing game live. I am going to jump over to this. I keep not doing homework on this game. I have other things that I try and get done during the week, but that's good because that means I get to do it in front of all of you all. Where we left off last time, we have this lovely IP, this toy line turned comic book, turned cartoon, turned reboot comic book, turned reboot cartoon, and now falls to me to write the role-playing game for. Doesn't exist. Role-playing game doesn't exist yet, but also this whole thing is made up. These are the incredible interchangeable Intergalaxians. The toy line is small little action figures with arms, plastic molded arms and lower bodies and heads that came off, and you can change them around. You'd buy a bunch of them, and you try and mix and match and collect them all. And the story in the first comic is that they're... because the toy has very little narrative to it. It's just, a lot of toy cartoons from that era prefixed everything with imagine you are, like, you're not a star warrior. It's not you are a star warrior trying to save the planet. It's you can imagine that you're a star warrior trying to save the planet, which is weirdly weak language for something like that, but also, I guess, more accurate. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. The Intergalaxians are Star Warriors who were shot into space at their opponent's ships. Many of them missed and traveled through the void for millennia until their civilization and the civilization that gave rise to their great intergalactic war had disappeared, and then their torpedoes they're shot in have crash landed in various places, and now they're trying to get together, hang out, enjoy things, fix the worlds that they come across. And all of that is stuff that the previous 6 episodes have covered. We're going to get into some mechanics here. So, what we have is a premise that I'm excited about. I feel like we've got things, hooks. We got good narrative things to hold on to, like things that we can do. And we've got something that we can build an interesting mechanic around, even if we don't know what that mechanic is. At the very end of last time, and I'm going to make some mistakes here because I don't have perfect memory. Far from it. We were talking about I think it's one of these here. Oh, we got a little scratch pad. What did we put in there? There we go. We were talking about the idea that you got these different parts that can give you different aspects of your character, because it's fun to be able to lose a limb and then get a new one and have that change your characters, not just your character's capabilities, but just things that they're the way they behave, the way they move in the world. And I mentioned that the Apocalypse World model is a good framework to kind of hang those ideas on, even if you don't end up using it in the end. It gives you it's just like a lot of working parts that you can kind of just shove the ideas onto to get some sort of conceptual model going. And I said that if I don't have some sort of new mechanic or anything like that by the time this episode rolled around, we're just going to start throwing it on top of some Apocalypse World stuff and see what sticks. I don't think I'll end up using I don't think Apocalypse World is the model that this will end up following exactly. It definitely will have some influence and whatnot, but like I said, it's still like it's good to have something to work with. You can't sketch without paper, right? Can't draw a map without graph paper. I don't know. I'm trying to think of a gaming metaphor while I'm talking about games. All right. So one thing I was thinking about. Oh, I should point out that fan of the show. I forget what his username is in the chat. I'm gonna have to. I'll call him out personally when I remember that. Did a little thinking on our situation here, where we talk about the head, the left arm, the right arm, the torso, and the lower body, and suggested that because there's no good terminology to replace a lot of that stuff, that maybe we replace that with like, we know that you're using the lower body, but why not, since it's mainly about locomotion, why not call it your locomotor? Or so instead of like kind of making this slot and then filling things into it, we just say, you've got your right. So, it'd be fun to be like knowledge / sensory unit, right, for the head, or get all space agey, data / sensory unit, maybe. I don't have a good one for the arms yet, but value core. I mean, just the core for the torso would make a perfectly fine one. But the lower body can be the locomotor, something along those lines. I like it. I think it works a little bit better than what I keep stumbling over lower body because I don't have a good thing that means your legs. I mean, maybe I do mean your legs, but it is possible that someone's lower body is just a bottom stage of a rocket. It's also possible that it's a snake. Yeah, the torso. I like it. The heart is a good one. Especially, locomotion. I mean, actuator is a word, right? I mean, I'll use fancy words for right and left. Does it matter, right or left? I'm just thinking about... Right, so the different parts of the body, we talked about how it might be... Like, the value core, the heart, the torso, is the spot where everything plugs into. So everything... so you can't plug two torsos together. But otherwise, in all of those slots that we would think of as the arms and the locomotors and the head, those are those are swappable. Like we could put, two right arms on a character. It would look weird to us, but there's going to be a lot of weird things going on. Sinister and Dexter are there you go. Yeah. And I had this idea for, along with any roll you make, you had this die that you rolled that said, if you use this interchangeable, if your method of solving the problem is about this interchangeable and not the other ones, then you would get some kind of bonus. It's just a random thing that kind of shoves you in a direction that you may not normally go. Like you may be thinking, removing all of this rock is that's sealing up the cave entrance is definitely something for my actuators. And then you roll the dice and you end up rolling data sensory unit. And I mean this in a very material way. So not in if you could describe some way you use your head to get through it. Actually, there's going to be, again, to use the Apocalypse World terminology, there's going to be moves associated with the head. So that would be like, you would have to use those instead to solve the problem. So it very much changes how you interact with the fiction. It's not just like kind of a different way of describing what happened. It's very, it's going to have different kinds of fallout. It's going to have different kinds of, advantages or disadvantages. And the reason for this is that this helps us find it. Okay, so when you're playing a game, one of the fun moments of playing a tabletop role-playing game is when something unexpected happens, and then you get a chance to roll with it and surprise your fellow players, right? And what this does is this presents those. It doesn't force them upon you. You don't have to follow this. It's not Swords Without Master. It just says, if you do, this move is available to you. And you can then, make that decision in that time. I'm excited about that, so that's the thing we're going to do. That's generally how I design. If I get excited about it, that's how it's going to happen. But originally I was like, okay, so you roll a d6 and these are your results, and this is, how it happens. But then I thought, okay, I want this chart to be, well, we could end up with different parts, right? Different interchangeables, and I want, I want you to kind of build that when you're making your character. I don't know if that's going to be smart or not. I don't know how useful it is. But then I started thinking about how the locomotor is roughly the size of your torso when you talk about volume of plastic used to make the toy. And both of those are probably twice the size of either actuator, and then the head. Well, the head's probably actually pretty big so we can say it's about the same size as an actuator. But it might be fun to build these charts out of a size thing. So we're in our scratch pad here. Let me go to the bottom. Let me add some scratches. All right. I'm going to call it a hit chart for now because that's what it classically looks like, even though I'm not really making a hit. Well, I mean, it could be a hit chart. It is part of the game is losing these interchangeables, so you probably are going to want a hit chart. So, well, okay, that's something to think about as well. All right, so you, I even forget what I'm going to call it, sensor unit. Size 1. Size 1 each. Size 2 locomotors. There we go. Size 2. So if you build like a typical humanoid build, you're gonna have would be like 1 for the sensor unit, sinister actuator, and then 4 is going to be core, but also is 5 locomotors. Right, and we still have a wild spot. Some stuff in chat. Let me check that real quick. There's some cloning, body movement there. Yeah. Yeah. There's some. All right. So let me see here. Random thought: if you can hook 2 horses together, it implies that attaching knobs for heads and necks are the same, but they suggest you can't hook. Huh. Yeah. I mean, there's I'm sorry, I didn't mean to mumble that out for the YouTube crowd who can't read the chat. There's a thought here about how these the cores and everything goes together. And I think that there's a lot of room to kind of I just said that, sensor units are probably the same size as arms. But there's definitely going to be a toy where one of the heads is twice the size of any of the other heads. So it just counts as 2. At some point in the toy line, they probably did create little connectors that allowed you to connect 2 torsos together and make one giant thing with a torso in each arm and then many arms coming off of them. And I think that, that's definitely going to be some stuff to build out from where we start. So it's a good to keep in mind where we are as we do these things. What I'm thinking about here is, can I build these charts in a way that just okay, so that's the typical humanoid build, and then we've got an atypical build. Could be 1. Oh, what? Why is everything? I don't know what I'm doing there. All right. Okay. Now I'm all over the place. There we go. Okay, so you might have a head, a sensor unit. I'm going to keep using the different words. And then this person, for whatever reason, decides to attach 3 locomotors instead of arms. Or an arm, instead of a right and left arm, each of those are locomotors, and then also the body. So we said the locomotors are 2, so we're going to have to give them different names here. Alpha. there's a fast way to do this. Well, now I'm not doing it the fast way, so. Beta, value core. I don't actually know what the next. Don't know my Greek alphabet. We got a wild. All right. So that's an example of someone who tried to build out something with more locomotors. Okay, so the thing I'm thinking about right now, and I apologize that I sometimes fall into thought and I don't voice it right off the bat, is that, like, I made the joke about this being a hit location, but it could be a hit location. I am saying that we're basing it on the size of the plastic part, which implies a good hit location thing. But does it imply a good chart for how often you're going to use a thing? It's often like it doesn't make sense that you would be more likely to use your it might be more interesting if you're more likely to use your locomotor than your actuators. Then you're moving around more, which makes for more dynamic combat. So maybe it is a thing we want. I don't know what it means. Like if we're fighting and we roll our value core, like what if that's, is that like a rope-a-dope thing? Are we trying to outlast the opponent, or are we trying to? Is that about us? Oh, is it about us trying to get our opponent on our side? Yes. Right? Because your torso is your armor, but it's also your values. All right, I'm liking this. So let's go down some more. Let's get some more ideas. Oop. All right, so I'm just going to be writing these words over and over again. I better get used to it. What I should do is make a little macros for them, and I will at some point. Using your value core equals a champion's presence attack. Exactly. Like I like that. It fits the comic book feel. It fits we talked last time about this sort of tradition that goes from comic books through like Robin Hood all the way down to Gilgamesh, of like our two heroes meeting and having to fight each other and then eventually team up, right? Like that's the whole point. I like how that might play out. So I don't have a specific move in mind for any of these, but I'm just going to write these down. For now, I'm going to keep the left and the right arms separate, just in case we come up with something that sensibly makes them different from each other. Locomotor. So let's say you've got we could divide the actions up. Well, I don't know if I want to divide the actions up that way. I was thinking about saying here's the stuff you can do while you're in the middle of a fight, and here's the stuff you can do while you're not in the middle of a fight. There's a liminal problem with that in role-playing games. It's usually just easily resolved by players, but can sometimes come up, which is when are we in which, right? This is there's the meme of like roll for initiative, which is clearly not actually saying roll for initiative. They're saying roll for initiative because that's the very first thing you do before you get into a D&D fight. So it says we have seen a spider, so we've gone from being in existing in our normal everyday life, and now we're ready to fight. I don't mean to be the old man on the interweb here explaining memes to you. I apologize. But the point is that that's a very clear delineation. On this side of initiative in D&D, you're not in a fight. On this side, you are in a fight. There's a less clear delineation from where a fight turns into not a fight again. And that's kind of fine, right? Like we're good at it, at figuring that out, and as human beings, we can make decisions that computers, for example, wouldn't be able to. But it is nice to be able to write those out and to say, hey, if A, B, and C, then you're in a fight, and D, E, and F, then you're not. And then you can argue if you've got A and B and D, but not C, or whatever. So what I was just saying is that I had the thought that maybe I want to have like moves that are moves when you're in a fight, or action moves, or maybe that's the better distinction, action moves. If we had that distinction, right? So let's go to the value core here. We're just going to add header after header after header. So the value core can have an action move and a what isn't an action move then? What do we want to call that? For now, let's just call it a general move. That's a bad name for it. So I'll want to get rid of it and change it in the near future. I like to give things bad names until I get comfortable with those bad names and then regret it. So the action move, like we were saying, could be like the champion's attack. Some attempt to sway your opponent. If we're talking about let's see, this is where we run into some problems, because we're calling it an action move, but obviously I'm still saying it's while you're in a fight, right? This I consider like I'm trying to get over a mountain, some opposition in some way, but then you're left with like, am I persuading a mountain to let me through? In some ways that might be fun, but that's not particularly the kind of game that I'm looking for here. That is definitely a thing that a rogue's phase demand I would make in a Swords Without Master game. It is something that could be easily done in well, not easily done, but I could see happening in things like in the Name of Bronze, that sort of thing. But that's not here nor there. So a general move would be okay. So what if So, again, trying to talk through my process here. feel free to shout out if you have any questions in the chat. I was just moments ago thinking about like splitting these up into like what kind of, well, basically what kind of phase you're in. Are you fighting? Are you not fighting? Or whatever. But maybe instead of doing that, we have a regenerative move. I don't know if I'm. Yeah, I knew I was misspelling things all over the place. Let's see. So thinking about I know there's a command to make that all happen at once, but I'm not worried about it right now. We don't have hit points so far. I was just thinking like there's one move for when you're trying to get things done and you're trying to make things happen. And then there's another move for when you're trying to recover from things that have happened. Or maybe recover isn't the... I like to systemize chill in a game, right? Like not like just hanging out, just having a good old time, doing something to represent your character engaging in the world that isn't just trying to psyching yourself up, find reasons to go out and face in the face of defeat. Exactly. Like you're playing heroes that are dealing with a lot of, like, I don't want to get too deep in the weeds about like the stuff that would come up in the 90s comic. What I want to get in, but I like, it's fun if you have a value core that is the shape of a strawberry. I think I brought up strawberries last time. I think it's because it's spring. I don't know. I've been thinking about respite. Yes, that might be the word I'm looking for. Yeah, so you've got a value core that's the shape of a strawberry that smells like strawberries, something like that. And so what you want to do is that you want to move that tells you like, hey, it's time to bake goods for you and your friends. Like maybe you have a core that's like the shape of the core is going to, in the respite move, is going to tell you how you want to just hang out. Now, I think that we'll have action move and respite move for each of these interchangeables, right? So, let me just write down how you hang out with your pals, just for that, for now. Blasmo into Wowie says, poor terminology, but impose your will versus go with the flow. I do like that. That might be another one. I mean, like, it's like a vibing move, right? There's the but that's another thing. You probably weren't here earlier, Blasmo into Wowie, but I brought up your suggestion. But you can see it all over here, the different names for the interchangeable parts. And I said I would credit you when I remembered what your screen name was, which I am now doing. So just want to get rid of that. All right. So if we had a respite move for all of them, and all of those respite moves kind of are just a different way to hang out. That's kind of fun because, like if you have a laser cannon for an arm, shooting tin cans off of an old fence is definitely a way that you might hang out, right? If you had, wheels for legs, racing your friends. You fell asleep waiting for me to start streaming. Yes. Well, yeah, we're all there. If you have wheels for locomotives, racing your friends might be a way to hang out. Now, what we get from this move, I don't know. Like, it would be easy to say this gives you some bonus or recover something. Or I might be like, make it some sort of timing mechanism like the motifs in Swords, where it's like, once you do enough respite moves, we can move on to the next thing or whatever, and just kind of force those into happening. I like this structure. This hasn't made any advance on how we do any rolls or how we record anything, but why is this? Is this another? Oh, yeah, it just doesn't like. All right, we'll call it locomotion for now. I'll deal with it later. Okay. All right. I like where this is going. This is we're gonna get to a spot here in the design where it's just gonna be a lot of busy work and filling things in, and I don't necessarily want to do that on screen because it makes for really. I'm assuming it makes for really poor video. But so let's see what else we can kind of tease out here. Let's see here. All right. Am I building? All right. All right. Sorry, I'm thinking through some things here. If we have all right, so the sensor unit is going to have an action move. Okay, this might be kind of fun to do here. All right, so again, thinking in a Powered by Apocalypse situation, its action move is going to be modeled on read a situation because that's my favorite. The respite move, how you hang out with your pals. Actually, okay, what if this is oh, what did I do? Okay, some random keys. All right. I don't think I lost anything there. So I might model it on the discovery phase if for the sensory unit, the head. I'm gonna have trouble with that. If you do a respite move, that's your knowledge center, it's your data banks. You have millennia of history, or actually you basically have history that goes back before recorded time and then a giant gap and then current events from since you crash landed, but this would let you spend some time making up facts about the world. It'd be fun to have that as the you know. I don't think I want to write. If thinking about it as Apocalypse World, how many moves do you want to write? I'm a mortal. I've done the grim math. I know that I'm not going to be here forever. So I actually, would have to reduce that to like, maybe I'll write an action move and respite move for each of the different categories of interchangeable, and then interchangeables will add some element to some part of it, the individual interchangeables, so that it caters the move a little bit. And I think you can get enough variation out of all that to feel like something completely different without having to like come up with an entirely new move if somebody's head is got bug eyes versus somebody's head with a long snout. It'll get us there without having to do all the legwork that we would do. Oh, sometimes game design just looks like a lot of work, right? So I think it'd be fun if so if we do flavor these somehow. So this one would be, instead of hanging out with your pals, training or games, right? So that might be your respite move is things you do to show off how good you're getting at things. Would that be the same? Do I want something different for each of these? Yeah, I don't know if there should be a different. There should be something different for the left and the right arm. Just to give us something to work with here. All right, so this could also be games, because I was mentioning the races. Travel. Big journeys. It doesn't have to be exactly related to what your locomotor is, but like you're going to go from place to place. So respite move is beginning to sound less and less respite-y and more like work when we get into training and traveling. But I'm kind of thinking of those moves more as that's, and I don't know if this is the right thing to do with them, but this is just where my brain is going right now, is that I'm thinking of the respite moves as a thing that we're likely to describe in montage, right? It's something that passes the time, right? Travel, going over mountains, flying from one planet to the other. If there's nothing happening in between, we just spend some time answering some questions in that respite move and then move on to the next. That's a possible way to handle that. Training and games, we don't actually need like a whole mini game to play out, like shooting clay pigeons or sharpening your taking care of equipment, right? That's a possible difference between this. Is more playful and the others. sketch on Twitter. Let me. Let's see here. Did you tag me into? I'm now. Oh, this is great. I'm gonna open image. Oh, I don't know if I'm set up to share without doing like some real technical. I'm gonna give it a shot. If I lose you all, I apologize, but I do like this thing, so I wanna. Oh, let me see here. I am just enough of a neophyte when it comes to. I really dig it. I will. I'll share it on my Twitter. I'll reshare it right now. And this makes again good television. But man, if you people could see this, it's great. Yeah, I will endeavor to try and figure out how to just be set up to share something on another screen. I'm just not. It would require me to play around with my setup, and I am shaky at best with that. With my streaming setup, so I don't want to run the risk of ending all this here. Okay, so where was I? It's a good distraction, though. I really enjoy that picture. So I'm thinking about the respite moves as things that play out in broader strokes, and then the action moves as when we dial in the focus. We go from montage to bullet time, or however you want to call it, which I don't think is a particularly bad way to think about these at the moment. It may influence what I actually call these different moves, but this is a good distinction, just to kind of put down the current distinction. I wish I had better terminology for that. So yeah, we're already kind of forming some sort of back and forth and rhythm to what's going to happen with these. Where, so now I really got to think about this, because if I don't want it to end up looking like an apocalypse world, what am I going to do here? Right? I'm going to have action move, just player facing moves. The players are making all the rolls. Is that how that should go? Do I want, it might be for the best in that, like, that means I don't have to model the various alien races that aren't interchangeables, right? It just would play out however the built-in move for the players would work. Yeah, that's so tempting. Such a tempting draw. And I don't see a clear reason to resist it at the moment. So let's just think about that for now as players are making the rolls, which means we could have like the result of a bad. It could be like bad rolls will somehow affect whether or not that interchangeable has stayed connected to your core. Dan Maroshek asks, do you need to figure out some kind of PvP mechanic if you want to do the meat fight friends thing? Oh, yeah. That is, in fact, a good... Yeah, there's definitely going to be... But that's interesting, too. Wait, this actually... This is good, because, or it's good or more work. No matter what, it's more work. But you're right, because we could add a third category of move here, which is dueling move, right? So action moves are round by round play. Respite moves are broad strokes. This is already turning itself into a bulleted list, so that's what we're going to do. And the dueling moves are for facing other right. So so these would probably be this would be in roughly in order of the how zoomed in, how focused we are on things, how moment to moment we go. Because I think it's actually would be a lot of fun to just have the mechanics change one extra step if you're facing another intergalaxian or, like I said, intergalaxian level threat, which, you know, who knows what that is, some sort of space dragon, or, you know, there's going to be things that are at that level. Boss fight, if you will. But there doesn't have to be a boss fight. Like we just said, this could be you versus another player. So actually, that what am I doing here? Might be fun if in these duels is the area when you can lose your interchangeable. In the general action moves, other bad things can happen, but you're not. In case you haven't been here in the earlier ones, the characters are the running assumption here is that the characters are immortal as long as no, they're immortal, but they can be pulled apart, right? Their parts are interchangeable, so you are going to lose them from time to time and then have to replace them, or you might actually get blown to bits and then choose one of the parts and follow their story as they try to reassemble or assemble a whole new intergalaxian. I think those are fun. I like those ideas. And yeah, so I think it's like Luke versus Vader. The risk there is that somebody loses an arm, right? It's not So the whole, okay, all right. It's a big long word to have to spell. I've made a mistake using that. Less likely than losing interchangeable as above, but yeah, making the stakes different for these different kinds of fights I think would be kind of fun. Yeah, I gotta think more on that. All right, we're approaching the end of the hour. I'm trying to decide if there's anything else to focus on. Probably not at the moment. Well, going forward, I think I do have some stuff to fill in here. Hopefully I'll get some of those done before next time. I am going to try and I share this stuff on GitHub. Well, let's talk about where you can find my stuff, and more importantly, let's talk about where you can see Unlikely Lass's drawing of an interchangeable. And I have just reshared that on Twitter, where I am at Epidiah. So yeah, go there if you want and find me. And I don't need spell check now. I am also you know what? I gotta take a moment here and see. I'm sharing this on GitHub, but I don't. Here we go. There we go. That's the GitHub. I think I put a link in the YouTubes for people to see where that is on. So that's where you can go and see all the stuff I've done. It's all in scattered form because, like I said, I haven't been doing any work between the different episodes. But I'm going to start doing that now. So if you want to kind of watch it, I think you can comment along on GitHub. I'm not very adept at GitHub. I'm trying to learn it, which is why I'm using it. So if you know how it all works and want to school me on it, please do. You can find my games at dig1000holes.com. You can find more of my games and my sword and sorcery fiction at worldswithoutmaster.com. I am on dice.camp, which is a Mastodon instance, and I'm Epidiah there as well. And I think that's... I should tell you to like and subscribe, or whatever the Twitch equivalent is, whatever the mantra is. Thank you for joining me. We've made some progress here. I'm kind of excited to see how this sort of inner part fleshes out. I've said many times, but this is all a litany of lies. At any point, a lot of this can change. We're just barfing things onto the page so that we have something to work with and kind of. I'm going to stop the metaphor there and just say we pick through it and decide what we want to keep and what we want to change. If you have questions for me, you can hit me up in those spots. And thank you for joining me. And big shout out to everyone in the chat. And I am now going to figure out how to turn my stream off while I stare awkwardly at y'all.